Good afternoon, guys. To Polo Creed here, voice of the common man. Hope you're all doing well. Thanks to everyone subscribing and commenting. Yous are the realest. So, just going to break down the live from last night that was done about Dodgy Dave. Let's get to it and break it down a little bit, and I'll see what I thought of it. So, totally went into it, looked at it with an open mind, totally on this one, thinking, are they going to show some evidence here and put it to bed? But I was very, very, very disappointed. You could clearly see, guys, I'm not being funny, anyone with half a brain listening to that, you could clearly hear that recording, it being clipped together at the end. All of the stuff before was just pointless. They went on for ages saying this, that and the other, and I'm not surprised, because when you got to the meat of it, there was no real meat, was there? Clearly couldn't clip together. You can hear it at the end. She goes, so what I can disclose to you is risk to children, and that's all it says. But you can clearly see that was clipped together. It doesn't flow, there's pauses, and it's clipped together. Blatant and audio clipped together. Like I say, she goes, so the information to disclose to you is risk to children. That's clearly from before, where they've been speaking and should have turned around and said, so you're here to find out whether hicky or hicky, whatever you want to call them, is a risk to children. That's what should have said. So you want to find out that he's a risk to children? And then he's clipped that together at the end to try and prove his narrative. No, she could have turned around even and said, no, he's not a risk to children. You know what I mean? And you could have clipped that together. And no wonder it was a bit strange, wasn't it, as well, where she was like, why are you angry? Where you would obviously know why he was angry if that was the case, because he'd explained that he'd had the guy in his house around his kids. So if it was true what you said, I don't think the officer would be asking, why are you angry? Doesn't make sense. But anyway, never mind that bit. But you can clearly hear that was clipped together. Now you've got to ask yourself, why was it clipped together? Why was it just made like that at the end, where you could hear it was clipped together when she said that bit? Come on. It's totally disgraceful. You've made yourself look mugs. If you read all the comments, most of the comments that are on people's channels about this, that it's a load of pony. So you were just making everything out to be a joke. God forbid if there was any real ones, if there was any real victims, you've made it a joke. None of yous know nothing about the law, do yous? Yous really don't. You know what I mean? And what does an NFA prove anyway, even if there was some? What does it prove? It doesn't prove guilt or innocence either way. You know what I mean? So what are you trying to prove with that? But and there's a bit as well where it's like, I've had him in my house and he's a risk to kids, and the copper goes, okay, I've had him in my house and he's a risk to kids, okay. None of it sounds credible, and it can't be, because you can't take Dave Williams as a credible witness. That's his name, Dodgy Dave, isn't it? Google him, tells you all about your stuff. Got people on the live last night going, well, I've seen his acro and those things aren't on it. So basically the papers must be lying. Well, if that's the case, you hypocrites, maybe the papers were lying about other stuff as well on people you name. Dear me, you can't have it both ways. But what does it prove? What does it prove? And what was all this about? There's a kid. Decker had Dave's kid sitting on his knee and all of this stuff, and then that video he showed of Decker was meant to prove it. I'm sorry. All it basically said was, hi, yes, this is me, I am famous. It's almost like the little kid could have been messaging her friends or whatever, saying, oh, this guy who's famous on YouTube's coming around today, and they're like, yeah, whatever, and then he's put a video out to show he's actually there for her, for her benefit. This is mad. But she weren't sitting on no knees or nothing like that. So what's that all about? But as I say, he's not a credible witness. Now, what do you think? Joe Joyce is an enabler as well, dear, because this is what you're all calling people who are pointing out facts, like I am, like that video's definitely clipped together because you can hear it. There's no need for it to stop flowing at the most important point and be paused and stuff and clipped, and it just doesn't sound right whatsoever. You know what I mean? But no, he's not a credible witness whatsoever. But It's just a joke. But is that what you're saying? Joe Joyce is an enabler, people like that? Is he? Because he's going to be by his side as his fair play man? No, because real people can see what's real or not. And this isn't real, what you're doing. Believe me, if Decker was one of those, I'd be the first one to put it on his toes. But your narrative is pathetic. You're coming with no evidence. Why was there so many people on a panel when something so serious? It should have been, what's his name? I don't even know his exposure. That's it. Should have been just him and Dodgy Dave. Why'd you have to make it into like a party of people for? It was an absolute disgrace, that live, and people commenting all over people's channels are seeing it. You've made it worse for yourselves again. It's backfired because people aren't believing it, because you could basically hear that recording was clipped. The only people who are still believing it are the people who were calling them on the bandwagon anyway. You know what I mean? We still don't know. You've got no evidence. And what do NFAs prove? Even if there is any NFAs, it doesn't prove if he did or didn't. You know what I mean? I don't get what you're trying to prove with this. But that's why there's courts of law. That's why some people go to jail and some don't. But you can't call the ones who didn't go to jail child abusers and stuff like that. You just can't do it. But yeah, absolute disgrace. Totally clipped together. The whole thing's being made a mockery of, and real victims who are out there in life who've had terrible things done to them. You're just taking the mick. You're talking about Dicky here. You're saying people like Paddy, Conroy, others, that he has graped children and graped females. Alright? And the guy's walking around, is he? And the guy's walking around with nothing against him, and there's multiple allegations. Look, you've made yourself look even worse credible than you are. I'm disgusted with you because I was sitting there listening, giving you half benefit of the doubt, because you'd have gone on about it that much, and you've made a holy show of yourselves. Let's go to it again, what she says, when people listen back to it. So the information I can disclose to you is risk to women and children. Clipped together from what she said before, when she'll have turned round and said, so you're here to find out if he's a risk to children, and then you've clipped that bit at the end. You pathetic individual, Dodgy Dave. Come on, his name's Dodgy Dave. Robbed old women, which is plain to see, Google it, and also accused his ex of molesting him with a plastic dildo. What a credible guy, eh? Anyway, peace out, people. Respect for everyone that comments and the subs. You're great. We just call it how it is, be it wrong or right, and that's just the way it is, alright? You've made a holy show of yourselves. Respect, guys. Speak later.